other top stories of the news. President Tinubu signs Electoral Act 2026 into law, says nation needs to avoid glitches. Gunmen abduct and killed Ondo traditional ruler Obakende Jacob Falodun. On the firing scene, South Korean court hands life term to ex-president Yoon Suk Yeol over insurrection. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am Timitope Ajijolaoluwa Ola. President Bola Tinubu has signed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026 into law. This follows the passage of the bill by the National Assembly on Tuesday after months of deliberations. Tinubu signed the bill at the State House on Wednesday in the presence of top government officials, including the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. Speaking afterwards, the President said the essence of democracy is to have very solid discussions committed to national development and nation building, essential for the stability of the nation. On the ongoing debates over the transmission of election results, Tinubu said the nation needs to avoid glitches, interference, as well as unnecessary hacking in this age of computer inquisitiveness. The bill has generated heated debates in the last 1 week, with lawmakers and prominent Nigerians disagreeing over the method for the transmission of results ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Senate had on Tuesday passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026, but not without a rowdy session as the upper chamber resumed proceedings with a demand for division over Clause 60 raised by Senator Eyinaya Baribe.
And when you look at the crux of various arguments, maybe Nigeria should question our broadband capability. How technically are we today? How technically will we be tomorrow to answer the call of, either real time or no? And as long as you appear personally as a manual voter in any polling booth, but ballot paper is given to you manually, you decide in a corner and fingerprint, thumbprint the party of your choice, you cast your vote without hindrance and any interference. Ballots are subsequently counted manually, sorted and counted manually. It's just the arithmetic accuracy that is entered into from easy. It's the manual, essentially. The transmission of that manual result is what we're looking at. And we need to avoid glitches. I'm glad you did. Interference, unnecessary hacking in this age of, computer inquisitiveness.
Meanwhile, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has expressed strong satisfaction with the newly signed Electoral Act, describing it as a historic and painstaking piece of legislation that reflects the genuine aspirations of Nigerians. Speaking at the State House after President Tinubu signed the bill into law, the Senate President said lawmakers were patriotic and thorough in their approach. He said the National Assembly was happy and satisfied that it had been able to interpret the intentions and yearnings of the majority of Nigerians and not those politically motivated. Akpabio declared that the new law would usher in greater transparency, prosperity, and fairness in future elections, stressing that every vote cast by Nigerians would now truly count. On his part, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, says the National Assembly's decision to reduce the election notice period from 360 days to 300 days would help avoid conducting the 2027 presidential and National Assembly elections during Ramadan.
We took cognizance of the peculiarities of the country. We did not allow too much outside interference, and we're very patriotic in our submissions. And at the end, we believe strongly that what the President has just assented into Act of Parliament will make for a better election in the future, and will also lead to prosperity, and will also lead to transparency of the electoral process.
However, there is one area that I'm sure he forgot to mention, and that is the number of days notice, which was earlier in the 2022 Act, 360 days. Now we have seen the wisdom to reduce it to 300 days. And this will inadvertently translate to holding the presidential and National Assembly elections in January 2027. And that will technically avoid conducting election during month of Ramadan of 2027.
And now to security. Gunmen have abducted and killed a traditional ruler, Obakende Jacob Falodun of Alagamo of Agamo community in Akure North local government area of the state. Police authorities in Ondo State said 6 armed men stormed the traditional ruler's residence on Wednesday and took him away. The police command spokesman Abayomi Jimoh, in a statement this morning, said the victim was later found a few meters away with gunshot wounds and was confirmed dead at the scene. Jimoh disclosed that a team of police detectives has since been deployed to the area to beef up security and possibly apprehend the killers of the monarch. The police image maker called for calm among residents, urging them to promptly provide relevant information that could help the police investigation into the killing, assuring the public that no stone will be left unturned in bringing those responsible for the crime to justice. In another development, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has confirmed that former Kaduna State Governor Nasser El-Rufai is in its custody in connection with an ongoing investigation. ICPC's head of media and public communications, John Ode, confirmed El-Rufai was in the custody of the commission as of the close of work on Wednesday. The commission stated that he has been held in connection with investigations without providing further details on the nature of the case. Last week Friday, the chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, confirmed his invitation by the ICPC. His arrest comes in the wake of a series of allegations against him and engagement with several security outfits. About 3 days ago, El-Rufai was in the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in Abuja. He was invited over allegations of financial improprieties during his stint as the governor of Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023. The Department of State Services, DSS, has also filed a 3-count charge against El-Rufai for allegedly intercepting the National Security Advisor, NSA, Nuhu Rabadi's phone conversation, but no date has been fixed for his arraignment. On a rather sad note, 2 people have died following an accident in the Saleh bus stop area in Ward Mile 12 of Lagos State this morning. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, said the accident, which happened in the early hours of the day, involved 2 40-foot containerized trucks. LASEMA, in a statement by its permanent secretary, Olufemi Okeosanyitolu, said preliminary investigations reveals that one of the containerized trucks rammed into another stationary 40-foot containerized truck from behind due to excessive speed. He disclosed that the impact of the collision resulted in the driver of the moving truck and his motorboy being trapped inside the truck cabin. Despite rescue and recovery efforts, both victims were confirmed dead at the scene. Last and massive recovery operations are still ongoing, and there are also moves to evacuate the affected trucks and the commodities to restore normal traffic flow. Moving on, the federal government has ordered the closure of areas covered by mining license 11810 in the Wase local government of Plateau State. This follows the deaths of villagers allegedly mining in a pit containing gaseous emissions. According to a statement by the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development on Wednesday, the license is operated by Solid Units Nigeria Limited, owned by Abdullahi Dan China and Zorak. In a condolence call to Governor Caleb Mutfwang, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, sympathized with him over the loss of the innocent citizens who died while trying to earn a living. The minister has also dispatched a team of officials and investigators led by Permanent Secretary Yusuf Yabo to probe the remote and immediate causes of the incident and recommend sanctions. It said findings showed that the area was an abandoned lead site with a stored mineral prone to emissions of sulfuric oxide. At least 37 persons reportedly died following a suspected toxic gas exposure at a mining site in the area, sparking renewed concerns over unsafe mining practices and regulation in the area. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. But we'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.